In a small village where the houses were made of mud and hope was a rare commodity, lived a 15-year-old boy named Ayan. His world was simple and filled with the struggles of poverty. His father, a kind man with hands roughened by years of carpentry, worked tirelessly to put food on the table. His mother, with her gentle spirit, stitched clothes from morning until late at night, her fingers sore, but her heart full of love for her family. They had very little money, but they had each other. Ayan loved his parents deeply. He saw their sacrifices and understood the weight of their hard work. Their life was a constant battle against hardship, a daily grind just to survive. Despite the poverty that surrounded him, Ayan carried a magnificent dream in his heart. It was a dream that seemed too big for his small village, too bright for his humble circumstances. He wanted to be an athlete. He dreamed of running on grand tracks with the roar of a crowd cheering his name. He imagined himself crossing a finish line, not for fame, but for the feeling of accomplishment. This dream was his secret fuel. It was the fire that kept him warm on cold nights and the hope that pushed him forward when everything else tried to hold him back. He didn't just wish for it. He lived for it every single day. Every morning, before the sun even thought about rising, Ayan's journey began. He would slip out of his small home while his parents were still asleep. His running shoes were old and tattered, with soles so thin he could feel every sharp stone on the road. The dusty paths of his village were his training ground. There was no fancy track, no modern equipment, only the uneven, winding roads that stretched out before him. The dust would cling to his skin and fill his lungs, but he never saw it as an obstacle. He saw it as part of his story, a testament to where he started. The hunger in his stomach was a constant companion on these runs. Often, there was little food at home, and he ran on an empty stomach, fueled only by his sheer determination. The pain in his legs and the burning in his lungs were real. Some days, his body screamed at him to stop, to give up and go back to bed. But his spirit was stronger than his physical pain. He knew that every step, no matter how difficult, was a step closer to his dream. He embraced the struggle, for he believed that true strength was not about avoiding pain, but about enduring it and growing from it. As Ayan ran through the village each day, his solitary figure became a familiar sight. However, familiarity did not bring encouragement. Instead, it brought mockery. The other villagers, and even some of the boys his age, would often watch him from the sidelines. They did not see a determined young man chasing a dream. They saw a foolish boy running in worn-out shoes, wasting his energy on something they believed was impossible. "Look at the dreamer," they would sneer. "Does he think he can outrun his own poverty?" Their laughter followed him down the dusty roads, sharp and cutting like broken glass. The whispers and taunts were a heavy burden to carry. His father is a carpenter, and his mother is a seamstress. He should be learning a trade, not running around like a madman, some would say. They saw his dream as a betrayal of his humble roots, an arrogant attempt to be someone he was not destined to be. They tried to confine him to the same box of limitations they had accepted for themselves. The negativity was a constant storm around him, threatening to extinguish the small flame of hope he held so dear. It would have been easy for him to get angry, to shout back, or to simply give up. But Ayan chose a different path. He never responded to their taunts with words. He never wasted his breath trying to explain his vision to those who refused to see. His answer was his effort. When they laughed louder, he ran faster. When they doubted him more, he woke up earlier. Their mockery became his motivation. Each jeer was a reminder of what he was fighting against. Not just poverty, but the mindset of hopelessness that kept his village trapped. He channeled their negativity into fuel, turning their disbelief into another lap, another mile, another day of unwavering discipline. His silence was powerful. It was a statement that his actions would speak for him. He understood a profound truth at a young age. You cannot argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. The only thing you can do is prove them wrong through your results. So, he poured all his energy, all his frustration, and all his hope into his training. The dusty roads became his sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world faded away, and the only thing that mattered was the steady rhythm of his feet hitting the ground, step after painful step, moving him forward. One morning, as the sun cast long shadows across the village, something extraordinary happened. A car, a rare sight on these dusty roads, kicked up a cloud of dust as it came to a slow stop. Inside was a man named Mr. Sharma, a renowned athletics coach from the big city. He was visiting a distant relative and had taken a wrong turn, ending up on the very path where Ayan was in the middle of his grueling morning run. The coach watched, intrigued, as the boy ran with a fierce intensity that seemed out of place in such a quiet, forgotten corner of the world. Mr. Sharma was not just looking at a boy running, he was a man who understood the language of effort and the anatomy of discipline. He saw past the tattered shoes and the thin frame. He saw the consistent, powerful rhythm of Ayan's stride. He saw the focus in his eyes, a look that shut out the entire world. Most importantly, he saw the raw, untamed discipline. This was not a boy who was training because someone told him to. This was a boy who was training because something deep inside him compelled him to. He had seen many talented athletes, but this level of self-driven dedication was incredibly rare. The coach got out of his car and waited for Ayan to complete his lap. When Ayan finally slowed down, breathing heavily, Mr. Sharma approached him. "Young man," he said, his voice kind but firm, "I have been watching you. For how long have you been training like this?" Ayan, startled but respectful, explained that he had been running every single day for years. The coach asked about his dream, his diet, and his training methods. He listened intently as Ayan spoke, not of what he lacked, but of what he did with the little he had. The coach saw a champion's mindset in a boy who had nothing. Impressed beyond measure, Mr. Sharma made an offer that would change Ayan's life forever. "I see a fire in you that cannot be taught," he said. "Talent is common, but discipline like yours is a gift. I want to train you. I will take you to the city, provide you with proper shoes, food, and a place to train. I will give you the opportunity, but the hard work will still be yours to do." For Ayan, it felt as if the sky had opened up. It was the moment he had been running toward, a glimmer of hope that proved his painful journey had not been in vain. Moving to the city was like, well, stepping into a different universe. The quiet, dusty roads of Ayan's village were replaced by towering buildings, noisy traffic, and a sea of unfamiliar faces. He was no longer the boy running alone. He was now just one person among millions, a small fish in a vast, overwhelming ocean. The loneliness was a new kind of pain. He missed his parents, the familiar scent of his mother's cooking, and the comforting sound of his father's hammer. The city was a place of opportunity, but it was also a place of profound isolation, and he had to learn to navigate this new, challenging emotional landscape. His training under Mr. Sharma was more demanding than anything he had ever experienced. The dusty paths were replaced by a professional running track. His old shoes were replaced with state-of-the-art spikes. His empty stomach was filled with a carefully planned diet. But with better resources came higher expectations. The workouts were scientifically designed to push his body to its absolute limit. There were days when his muscles ached so much he could barely walk. He was now competing against other talented athletes, boys who were faster, stronger, and had been training in professional facilities for years. The challenge was immense. Despite the new struggles, Ayan's core principle remained unchanged. his unwavering discipline. He was the first to arrive at the track and the last to leave. While other athletes might complain about the intensity of the training or get distracted by the temptations of city life, Ayan remained focused. He remembered the laughter in his village. He remembered his parents' sacrifices. He remembered the promise he made to himself on those lonely, dusty roads. His discipline was his anchor in the stormy sea of his new life. It was the one thing that was entirely his, the one thing he could control. He never forgot where he came from. The memory of his past was not a weight that held him down, but a force that propelled him forward. He knew that this opportunity was a precious gift, one that was built on the foundation of his past suffering. He treated every training session as a privilege, not a chore. Mr. Sharma watched with pride as Ayan's body grew stronger and his technique became more refined. The boy from the village was being forged in the city's crucible, and his discipline was the hammer shaping him into a true champion, ready for the great challenges that lay ahead. The day of the national championship race arrived. The stadium was enormous, filled with thousands of cheering spectators. The air buzzed with energy and anticipation. Ayan stood at the starting line, a world away from the dusty roads of his home. He looked at the other runners, all of them elite athletes from across the country. For a moment, a flicker of doubt entered his mind, but then he closed his eyes and remembered. He remembered the stones under his old shoes, the hunger in his stomach, and the sound of laughter. He remembered his father's tired hands and his mother's hopeful eyes. This race was for them. When the starting gun fired, Ayan ran with everything he had. It was not just a race of speed, it was a race of spirit. In the final lap, he was neck and neck with the reigning champion. His lungs burned, and his legs felt like lead. The pain was immense, screaming at him to slow down. But in that moment of agony, he heard a different voice, the voice of his discipline, honed over years of hardship. He pushed harder, transforming the pain into power. In a final, explosive burst of energy, he surged ahead and crossed the finish line first. He was the national champion. The news of his victory traveled back to his village like wildfire. The same people who had laughed at him now celebrated his success as their own. They gathered around his parents' small house, offering congratulations and praise. Their mockery had turned into admiration. But Ayan knew the truth. It was not their belief that got him here. It was his own. When he returned, he was no longer just the carpenter's son. He was a hero. But he carried his victory with humility, knowing that the journey was far more important than the destination. He knew the real victory was won, long before this race, on those lonely mornings in the dust. Ayan stood before the children of his village, his medal gleaming around his neck. "This medal is not the source of my strength," he told them, his voice clear and strong. "My strength came from the pain I endured when no one was watching. It came from discipline. Discipline is the magic that turns pain into power. It turns empty stomachs into fuel and tired legs into wings. Your background does not define your future. Your discipline does. Whatever your dream is, chase it with all your heart. Use your discipline to build a bridge from where you are to where you want to be."